Welcome to All About the Bay. I'm your host, Paula Joy. All About the Bay is brought to you by the Money Market, your Amazon for mortgage solutions. With me on the show today is Andrea. But guess what? All About the Bay is showcasing small business owners in the Bay Area. You know, those who are making a difference. And I'm very excited to welcome Andrya Ventura on the show today. She's going to talk about solar. Go solar. Guess what? I heard something today that in the year 2035, you cannot buy gas-propelled cars anymore. Gas-driven cars. Okay, in Europe, actually, in about 5 years, gasoline cars are out. So guess what? Solar is in. So whether you have a home or maybe you are an investor, you should look into solar stuff. So I am so excited to welcome on the show today Andrya Ventura.
Yes.
All the way from Sacramento.
Yep.
Oh, I tell you what. So, are you in Sacramento? Are you part of the political? Are you a lobbyist?
No affiliations.
No affiliations. Why Sacramento?
I like Sacramento because it's away from the city. It's laid back. I'm just a chill person, so
I think that's the seat of politics in California. That's why I want to emphasize that. So basically, you might maybe some legislators who you talk to about solar stuff. I mean, they're pushing this thing. Are you a politician or something?
I'm not even into politics, actually. So, yeah.
Okay,
question,
so let's talk about why is solar.
So, solar is just the future. I mean, you look at everything's turning into electric, and solar's been around for a while. But when I first heard about solar, it was probably in about 2016 is when it first started. And I just was fascinated with it. I was just like, it makes completely sense, and then it's creating a better earth as well because you're reducing the carbon footprint. So, with solar, you're getting power from the sun, you're getting energy from the sun versus, these utility companies, they're producing the power at the power plant. And with that production, emits a lot of fossil fuels and things like that. So
are you telling me that things like other things like they got what? Coal, and they got hydro, and now you have solar, you have wind and stuff. What's the difference?
Yeah. So for solar, it's renewable energy. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, okay. Are you gonna face that hydroelectricity? Okay, you see the grids and stuff like that. You're gonna face that stuff. You got wind, you have coal. There are different ways of generating energy,
power.
right? Power.
Yeah.
So. And you went into solar. So I'm trying to ask you, how about wind? How about other sources of energy?
I mean, wind is great too. They have farms where they have the windmills and stuff.
Yes.
But I mean, you gotta place those things. I mean, you need land for that.
Yes.
Every neighborhood, you can't have that in your backyard.
Right.
So it's not really, it's not the most feasible thing for a neighborhood.
Right.
You could use that in big lands, but for residents, who's using power? Residents, people at home.
So solar has evolved a little bit, right? Because in the past, you see people have these huge solar panels on their roofs, right? And now there's some places like in Mountain View where new developments, the roofs, they're tiles, and they all have solar. You cannot even see the panels.
Yeah, there are solar roofs now. Yeah. It's like solar roofs are kind of newer. I haven't done, I'm not into that part yet, just the solar panels, but yeah, it's innovation, It's
That's good. Okay, fine, good. So what are the benefits of going solar then? I mean, let's talk about that.
Okay, so for one, you're creating a better earth, reducing the carbon footprint because it's clean power. Number two, for the homeowner, they save so much money over the course of time. They actually see savings from day one. And on top of that, the government is actually incentivizing homeowners. So they're giving a 26% tax credit this year. So a lot of homeowners, they get, like $5,000 to $10,000 back in taxes. So, and then you get to pay a fixed monthly payment of a electric bill versus with PG&E right now, they're increasing 6 to 12% like every year.
Yes.
So every year there's a rising cost because you have inflation, but also PG&E, they're also increasing. So with solar, you're at a fixed monthly payment. The same thing you pay today, you're paying the same for the next 25 years. So
That's interesting. Okay, fine. That's good. What are the ways to go solar? What are the ways? I mean, is it more than one way to go solar or what?
yeah,
I mean,
well, there's two ways. I mean, you could own or you could lease.
oh, that's what you meant. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So you
It's
can
like,
own.
what are the ways to go solar? Like, what are the ways to go to the moon or the sun? Okay. So,
Right, you could own it or you can lease it.
okay.
And I would say the ownership, you get more benefits. You get the tax credit when you own. If you choose to lease it, you don't get a tax credit, but you do get to take advantage of.
But how
the
come that more
fixed
people
payment.
are leasing than owning?
Well, a lot of people don't have the proper education.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people, there's sales reps that just want to fit you into one thing.
Yes.
And a lease, solar companies make more money with that. So maybe they want to push that more to their customers, but you can also own it as well.
People have a ton of equity in their homes, right?
Yes.
So how come that solar panels only cost about no more than $30,000? Why? How come they don't just kind of pull some money out of their homes to buy it outright?
You can do that. Some people pay cash, but you could also use that $30,000 for something else.
Right.
Because, like I said, if you own it, you don't pay any money down. So
Right.
you're already paying an electric bill right now. When you
Okay.
go solar, you're just paying a cheaper one. So why hash out
Why lease it?
$30,000?
Okay. So
if you could
I'm
do that?
trying to understand. So when you own it,
Yeah.
you still not pay anything down.
No.
So okay, you're financing it.
We find, yeah.
Oh, you're
finance.
financing. Okay,
Yes.
so we're gonna
and-
make right. So that's correct. They financed it instead of leasing it.
Right.
Okay, good. I'm learning a lot from you, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Do you pay anything to get solar panels? What do? You have to pay to get solar panels on your roof? Do you pay anything? I think you already covered that. There's no.
No, yeah. So there's no upfront cost.
Right.
The homeowner does have to qualify. So
Right.
if everyone's like, no upfront cost, I get panels on the roof, there has to be a catch. And yeah, the catch is you have to qualify. So your credit score has to qualify.
Okay,
And
let's talk about credit. So, what kind of credit are you looking for? 600 or
about
better?
650 and above.
Okay.
Yes. But the crazy thing is that there's so many more programs now. There's the program that we don't have to even run your
Yes,
credit.
right.
You would have to qualify by being in the home for a certain period of time.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was going to ask that question. Basically, if somebody already owns a home, that means that they can qualify. I mean, they qualify to buy that home.
Yeah.
So why on earth, even if the credit is 580, why do you care? And your thing is only about $30,000.
Right.
As opposed to a home that's $500,000-$800,000.
Yeah, that's true. But that's why they created the other program. It's called a PACE program where they don't even run your credit.
Yes.
It's just based on, as long as you're making your mortgage payments on
Yes.
time. So the biggest thing, they want you to make sure you make your payments on time.
Right.
So,
Now, I've also, you talked about the PACE program. So
Mm-hmm.
the PACE program, so long as you actually pay your taxes. So I've noticed that basically what they would do is, there's something called HERO, okay, and one of it basically this thing, right?
Yes.
So what they would do is, as you pay your property taxes, that actually becomes a property tax payment, right?
yes.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's the PACE. Mm-hmm.
So we're going to pay our property taxes anyways, so you may as well, put that on your property tax.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Okay, cool. So how do you get customers? Let's talk about customers. How do you get customers from people like who? I mean, like realtors or?
So I go based on referrals too, but how I started, I've been doing this for 4 years, so now I have a business that kind of works. My biggest referrals is the customers that I've worked with already.
Yes.
But I started out knocking, and I still do that. The only difference is now is I have other people that knock for me as well and create appointments, but just door knocking.
So do you see yourself doing this for a long time? Solo stuff.
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. I definitely see it growing, and it's definitely changing the world. So I see myself doing this for at least.
So let's talk
3
about
years.
this. Okay, solar. For you, solar just means installing this thing on people's roofs and stuff like that. But are you thinking about what are your goals, the future goals, going cars and other things, right?
That's a good question. I'm just all about innovation. I'm all about the future. So wherever it takes me with that, I'm open to it. As long as it's creating a better place for the world and for people, I'm for it.
So what are the biggest challenges when it comes to solar?
Are
Are there any challenges? Why should there be any challenges at all?
There is a challenge, honestly. And at the end of the day, it's sales. So there's
Yes.
going to be a challenge either way. And I think the biggest challenge is other people's beliefs or whatever they already think or what they hear.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people hear rumors and people Google things and they tell me things about solar when I'm the one that's in the solar industry.
What's some of the things they tell you? I mean, what are the things that the myths that people have?
They say I won't save any money. I don't have money to put down. I don't have thousands of dollars. I can't afford it. And those are the biggest things. But the truth of the matter is, if you're already paying an electric bill, which everyone is,
Yes.
then you can afford solar. If you can afford to pay PG&E,
Yes.
then you can afford.
Or you can afford to pay your property taxes.
Yes, or you can afford to pay your property taxes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, electricity, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity.
Right, right.
And so rather than paying a utility company, why don't you put that money, that monthly payment should be going back into your home.
Yes.
And that's essentially what solar is.
Okay,
you know?
some people like to cook with gas stove and all that kind of stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
does that have to do with because solar is electricity?
Yes.
So what about people that come from certain traditions, certain backgrounds? They think the food tastes better with gas.
The food is, I mean,
No, that's true.
it's heat. Does it taste better with the different
I mean,
heat?
some people tell you that. I mean, being a realtor, I mean, I saw some properties here in Fremont, Newark, and people say, okay, if it doesn't have a gas stove, then they're not gonna buy the house, or they gotta find a way to put a gas stove in it.
Yeah, well, the good thing is that a gas stove, I mean, there's so many other appliances in the house that contribute to electricity.
Yes.
So a gas stove isn't that much.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
you're talking about for solar, the thing that creates the most electric consumption is AC. Mm-hmm. And if you have a pool,
Right.
pump,
Right.
using fans, using plug-in heaters in the wintertime.
Yes.
So you can still have your gas stove. I mean, you'll still save money.
Okay,
because
so
I'm
I
sure
see people having batteries and stuff like that. What is that for?
batteries. So there's a backup batteries now.
Yes.
So now I know in the Bay Area, PG&E's announced that they're going to start having a lot of rollout blackouts,
Right.
especially during the
Okay.
summer to prevent potential, hazards.
Yes.
And so a lot of people, they're getting backup batteries, which put you off of the grid.
Right.
So right now, if you get solar and you don't have a battery, if there's a power outage, then you still have a power outage.
Right. Right.
Because your solar is still connected to your meter.
Yes.
Now with a battery, if there's a power outage, you'll get power because
Okay.
that's
That's interesting,
will power
right?
you.
So let's say I want to build my whatever dream home, right, by the lake and stuff like that. So somewhere, in the countryside somewhere.
Okay.
Do I really need a grid? Could I just use a battery? Because now, like Elon Musk and all those people are building huge plants, manufacturing battery. So I can just have my panel,
Yep.
okay, and I got my battery. Okay, so do I need PG&E?
No. The only reason why that the panels is connected to the grid
Yes.
is because, see, do you remember the fires a few years ago?
Yes.
The PG&E? So what's happening is that PG&E, they're beginning to shut down power plants and things like that. So what happens is, let's say that you have solar on your home and you guys go on vacation.
Yes.
Well, either way, the sun is going to come up every day,
Yes.
and then your solar is going to be, there's going to be energy there.
Yes.
But if there's no lights on, then where's that energy going to go? It can't go. It's not going to go in the home.
Okay.
So where is it going to go? It's going to go back to PG&E's grid.
Okay.
And you're basically going to help your neighbor that doesn't have solar,
Right.
and you're going to pass them energy.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the only reason why that it's
Yes.
connected to the grid now, is because PG&E owns the grid. So you kind of
Right.
don't have, they've been a monopoly for over
Right. So,
hundreds
so
of years.
Okay. So
But if you have your own home, yeah, in a perfect world, if PG&E wasn't here, the solar would be just connected to your home. So
right.
Yeah.
And especially if you have a battery, so you don't need a grid, because the grid is basically that powers it on. Is that correct? What powers
Yeah.
on the solar panels?
well, the sun.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you just have the sun. Okay, I'm just trying to understand this.
Yes.
Okay, so you have the sun. Why do you need a battery?
The battery is the only reason why you need a battery now is because that solar in the Bay Area
Yes.
it's connected to the utility company.
Yes.
And if the utility company shuts off the power, because it's connected to the solar, it'll shut that off too.
Right. Okay.
And they shut it off because if someone was working on the power lines and there's power coming through, then someone could die if there's electricity going there.
Right.
But if the PG&E utility company was not involved,
Right.
then the solar would be powering your home.
Right.
And you wouldn't have to worry about a power outage or anything like that.
And you don't have to worry about the battery.
No, but this is where we're at right now. Exactly. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about how do you get your customers? Well, we talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
What's your ideal referral partner?
My ideal
Any
referral homeowner that doesn't have a bunch of trees around their house because shading affects the energy consumption of the panels.
Right.
So obviously, if you have trees around, then the panels can absorb the light from the sun to get electricity. So
you have trees around the house, then you can't. Okay, I see. Interesting.
if it affects the production if it's shading the roof, it does affect the production.
Okay, another technical question. So basically, people talk about the angle of the panels. So for example, your home is facing east or whatever. The roof is facing north or facing. You have it like this, and you have it like versus having it like this.
Right.
So I mean, how does that affect whether or not you qualify for solar?
So the best place to put the panels is the south. Most south facing roof. Then it's west and east. And that's because the south always gets the most sun hours. So you want to get the most sun hours during the day.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I thought the east was east facing roof because the sun rises on the east, right?
Yeah, sun rises in the east and sets in the west.
Yes.
But on the south side, it's getting the early, when it's rising and when it's setting. Because, even when it's setting, you're still getting sun.
Right,
so
right.
I don't know the algorithm. I don't know the calculation. That's not me. But, hey, they said the most south and
okay, so we're talking about, homeowners that have homes that basically don't have a lot of trees. So, let's say I build an ideal home, Oakland Hills, and there are a lot of trees, a lot of nature. So you telling me I don't qualify, or do you have to cut the trees?
You might want to cut a tree down.
Interesting. So I'm stuck with PG&E then.
Yep. You might want to trim a tree, or sometimes you might just have to trim a branch, but yeah, you don't have to cut them all, but you want to cut wherever you're going to put the solar.
Okay, I see. Okay, so they have enough sunlight. Okay, and so how about realtors? Are they ideal referral partners for you? I mean, real estate agents work with people that have homes, they're selling homes or buying homes and stuff like that. Investors.
Yes, they are. They definitely are.
Okay, who else will be so they're watching this stuff here. Who else would be your ideal referral partner? I mean,
people that are in construction. They're working on homes. They usually see homes if they have solar or not. So anyone in the construction industry, real estate, of course, anything that has to do with residential.
Yeah, okay, cool. So thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I just want to, is there any last word or parting words you want to leave for the viewers here?
I just have to say you need to go solar. And if you haven't even looked into it, I would just say just book a consultation, because the first thing you want to do is make an educated decision. You don't want to just make a decision off of impulse.
Awesome. Okay, great. So thank you for joining today. I'm your host, Paula Joy, and this is sponsored by The Money Market, your Amazon for mortgage solutions. See you next time.